this might just be my imagination. Like, call me crazy, call me a conspiracy theorist, call me like whatever. But I have been watching like the backlash towards Angry Joe versus Night Watch, right? I've seen like Night Watch go up against this guy, like dismantle all of his points, kind of like go after him for the Barbie movie, kind of bring up some uncomfortable realities with how Joe has handled the feminist agenda for the past decade. You know, how he defended Anita Sarkeesian, how he tried to damage control Gamergate, how he's been an advocate for socialism, right? Like, Angry Joe is a complete parasite and a shill, right? Like, this is nothing new. I've been saying this for a long time. Angry Joe has always been scum. But, like, the thing is, though, and I think this is also true for a lot of other that guy with the glasses personalities, including Brad Jones, including Linkara, including Doug Walker himself, including Lindsay, like, all of these guys, is that these guys are nearing their 40s, in their 40s or nearing them, right? Angry Joe, I think, is on the younger side along with Yahara. Like, I think they're in the late 30s. Uh, these guys are fading away, right? These guys peaked a long time ago, like probably a decade ago. Like, these guys were a big deal, 2010 to like 2013, right? 2014, right? And ever since, it's been like a steady like swirl downwards, like a downward spiral is what we call a swirl. What am I talking about? Like spiral, Uzumaki, ooh, spooky. Like a downward spiral of just less and less views, less and less engagement, and less passion. Like, what's happened over the past 10 years is that people are more and more invested in like these people, know their flaws, know how terrible of critics they are, how they push agendas, how they're complete and utter scum. Right. And like, someone like me who grew up watching Linkara, like, has grown up to realize that, like, oh yeah, his takes on Frank Miller are ridiculous. He's a big shill for like liberal values. He's a big hypocrite when it comes to like sexualization in comics, and like how he like says you shouldn't sexualize female superheroes, even though like he totally jacks off to like dick girls dick girls dressed up in like Wonder Woman cartoons. Like, wait, God, what the fuck was it? Like, yeah, it was like Fuda Wonder Woman stuff. Like I think is that like we know he like confirmed whacked it too, right? You know, and those ideas, like those realizations, led me to like the decision to like never watch Linkara again. Right, like everything he's done over the past year has just the past several years has like alienated me from him and just made me think that like he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to his chosen field, comic books. And Angry Joe is no different, right? When it comes to video games, when it comes to movies, when it comes to TV show, like Angry Joe is a complete parasite. No different than Linkara. He has no idea what he's talking about. He has no standards whatsoever. He is just a complete shill. And what's more, I felt this way for a long time. I've been speaking out against this for a long time, since at least like I think when the review debacle started in like 2017, when like he did that thing where like there was backlash towards him not uploading new video game reviews, like and he did that Game of Thrones video instead. Like, I feel like ever since that happened, it's been very clear to me that like Angry Joe is alienating his audience, right? Like, the audience is being driven away. He is antagonizing them. He does think that like he's such a big channel that he can do whatever he wants with no repercussions. And more and more people are getting frustrated with his nonsense and with his agenda. And more, I'm seeing groups like Night Watch, like Razor Fist, like several other YouTubers, right, who are calling him out on his nonsense, who are addressing like the very real concerns they have with his channel, the way he's handling it, the way he conducts himself in his reviews, like his critiques of certain things, his biases, and especially his politics. And I do think this is the big thing that is going to kill him in the long term, is that like just his refusal to accept that like people can have a different opinion about certain things. And like, if someone like speaks out against socialism, and they speak out against like women's rights, if they speak out against like certain films, like Angry Joe is gonna come and he's gonna try to call you a man baby. He's gonna call you like a man child. He's gonna come after you and think like try to make you out like, oh, you're an incel, like you believe this and this. You're an angry white man. Ooh, he's like alienating like a core his core demographic, right? Like he's alienating like conservative viewers, like in favor of like appeasing the woke mob, essentially. And this isn't anything new from him. We saw this like 10 years ago with Gamergate with Anita Sarkeesian, although he denies it now, which is something that like I really want to like let it be known is that he did defend. Like he right now he's trying to deny that he did that he denied that like this was a that Anita Sarkeesian was like a cancer on the industry and that she never does anything. She's never done anything positive. Like he tried defending these people, right? And now he's trying to like pretend that that wasn't a thing that happened, that it didn't alienate a significant portion of his audience, that it's not something that I to this day still hold against him, right? Like it's been like a death of a thousand cuts, right? This guy had a big, prominent YouTube channel, and more as I look at it, and I think this has been true for a long time, like it looks to me as if his views are going down, right? Like he's becoming more reliant on Patreon, he's becoming more reliant on Twitch donations, he's becoming more reliant on like, online support. Like the actual view numbers are going down. People don't want to see him spurg about like play Warhammer or like play Exoprimal or like do whatever. Like everyone seems like adamant, like yeah, do this, like play Zelda, play Nintendo games, like stop giving positive reviews to stuff like She-Hulk, right? Stop damage controlling for feminism. Stop doing this. Stop, being appeasing the woke mob, right? People have warned him to stop it, and he's never backed down. He is deathly afraid of being canceled, right? He is doing everything he possibly can to maintain the grift for as long as possible. And the thing is, when you do that, like you're eventually going to alienate people who really expect you to be a critic. People who really expect you to be the kind of person who goes up against like products like She-Hulk, like the things that Marvel and Disney are doing. Like when has he ever like gone after like Disney at all? Right? Like I noticed recently he did that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, and he like really tried pretending as if there was nothing wrong with like completely changing April's design, right? Like he tried pretending it wasn't a big deal at all, but like clearly the audience didn't agree with him on that. I said this with Rise as well, but like in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Turtles as well, but like you can't just redesign a character and expect it to go over well with the fans, right? Like no matter what you do, it's not ever going to go well. And like more and more, I think people are rejecting these kind of woke redesigns, right? People don't like Black April, right? And they shouldn't, because the iconic one is the one that everyone remembers. That's in all of the definitive versions of the Turtle Show, right? Basically all of them. TMNT 2007. The Nickelodeon show, the 4Kids version, the yellow banana coat banana raincoat yellow wearing one. Like it's just like a weird sort of situation in which these guys are trying to pretend that this kind of thing is not an issue, that it puts people off and it makes people not want to consume your product, right? That there is a real question to be had here in like what exactly are you trying to accomplish by redesigning iconic characters, right? Like there's just nothing. Like if they changed the turtles to like a bunch of frogs, right? That would be like that would also be dumb, right? People would call that out. Like I don't see it as being anything more than that. Is that like it doesn't suit the brand and like fans don't like it, right? Like it's not like if you want to do something different, like invent a new character, right? That's kind of always been my mindset on that score. And more, like we're seeing these terrible like woke redesigns just bomb. Ariel is probably the big example, and you're not seeing people like Joe get angry about it. He's doing everything in his power to try and try to damage control and try to pretend it's normal. But I think more and more it is alienating his audience, right? Because like they expect him to be a lot more critical about this kind of thing and talk about how ridiculous it is and how it doesn't work at all in any way, shape, or form. And I do think that is impacting his bottom line. Like, I think another 5 years of this, and like Angry Joe's channel is going to be worthless. With the Marvel fad fading away, with like him having nothing else to fall back on, he's older now. He doesn't play games. Like, he doesn't have a whole lot. Like, Warhammer isn't taking off the way that like a lot of people say it is. Like for him, like he's just kind of stagnant, right? And when you're stagnant on YouTube, that's basically equivalent to death, right? And I have to wonder just how well he's handled his money and whether he has like enough for retirement or things like that, because I don't know if he can keep maintaining the show the way he does, right? Like we're seeing this with DSP now, where like he's burned through all of his bridges. He's spent all of his money and now he's just like languishing, like streaming games all day, like every day. Like it's a miserable existence he's in, and I have to wonder if like Joe is not all that far off from being in the same position. It does kind of seem that way. Now, like, we are seeing these guys reach like their end stage, right? They are in their decline period of their YouTube career, probably like the mid period, as opposed to like the straight up just failure period that like people like Wings of Redemption, DSP are in, but like they are undoubtedly in the decline, and I have to wonder just like what's going to cause like the big backlash that just completely kills his channel for good. Like for Pro Jared, like it came out of nowhere. It was like the sex scandal, right? Joe, I think it's possible that we might see something similar. I think it's obvious that he primarily bangs like Twitch thoughts that he meets at conventions. He's the sort of person to throw his status around. I've known this for a while, and like I wonder if eventually he is going to get canceled for some of his like escapades, right? Like we've Per Luna is a pretty good example of how like badly some of these relationships can end, even if like both parties try to pretend it never happened. Like I uh I'm curious like when and how things are gonna fall apart, but it is well on its way to reaching that point.